What now? What is this? Oh, okay. Get out of YouTube studio. She'll be throwing me off. Okay, my timer is about to get ready to go off in a second. So I'm gonna get this. Hey YouTube. I can get this iPad out the charger. Get it. So I heard, like, oh my god. Let me see what happened. He got 55. He got 55. He was not playing no games with this one here. I say what? And you know what's so crazy? I dropped in, stopped in. It had to be like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I had saw that the little prelim was going on. And then Candace had dropped like a little community post. And she was like, the judge didn't let nothing in with the FBI or the ATF reports. Oh, it's so much going on. Let me see what happened. Hold on, let me get this iPad up the charger. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, idiot. Okay, what you ain't doing? You ain't done. Alright. Let me see what happened. Let me do audio. I need to do an audio check real quick. Okay, I just have to make sure because the audio was doing some weird stuff the other day. I was like,
Tyler Robinson hearing for the murder of Charlie Kirk has concluded. All right, this preliminary hearing is going to be lasting all week. I know this is a controversial case.
Yeah.
I know there's conspiracies and there's evidence of other stuff going on. But this is what's happening in court, and I'm covering what's happening in court. I know the comments might be crazy on this video, but this is what we're doing this week, all right? Let's go.
Let's go.
For the record, the court also recognizes the presence of Miss Erica Kirk. Ms. Kirk, good morning. In addition,
You know what's so crazy? Candy said that. She was like, now watch Erica gonna try to show her ass at the court. Because they've been saying she ain't been to court since. I'm so sick of her. Miss Erica Kirk is here. Hi.
your tables have been turned off. Again, in an attempt to try to minimize the possibility of any of the communications being captured.
So it sounds like we won't be able to hear shit. The lawyers' microphones are off.
Come to the lectrum, and that microphone will be live. And so that's the best way that we can hear you, and it is captured on the record. All right. Second, the court will address the camera operator, and the court knows there is no still photographer for today's proceedings pursuant to the court's ruling from last week.
I gotta say, I've watched probably, I don't know, tons of trials now.
Yeah,
I've never seen this many rules unless it involves children.
And next, turning to the amended motion to allow the use of portable electronic devices filed by the news media and their counsel. The court appreciates the arguments presented in the motion and recognizes the importance of the press in the criminal justice system. Having considered the motions before the court, the request to permit representatives of the news media to use portable electronic devices during the preliminary hearing is respectfully denied.
I've never seen that rule in a case that doesn't involve. The media is not allowed to have personal devices in there.
My table, the front table, this is Brian Davis, Agent Davis, and Agent Hull is seated on the bench just on the other side of the bar. He will be present for this hearing as well. Both of these agents will be testifying as part of the hearing.
All right, so this is Tyler's lawyer, Richard Novak.
Whether exhibits will be published. And we did, and we can either deal with this general matter or we can deal with it on an exhibit by exhibit basis. But I just want to make sure that we didn't lose track of that. Publishing the exhibits in the courtroom may technically be different than that, but whenever the court is ready to deal with that issue, we just want to make sure before it's too late.
That's always the right time to do it.
So I think what he just asked is publishing the exhibits in front of the camera. I think he doesn't want the camera to see exhibits. I'm going to be pissed if they hide exhibits from us in this courtroom, bro. I've never seen this. I know it's because they're worried about a jury later down the road, but like...
I believe it is important that the parties know that the exhibits are being viewed by the judge in real time and in open court. However, what I will do is have the monitor placed against that wall to reduce the possibility of it being broadcast. And so on the exhibits that the court grants to be published in court, and not going to Mr. Novak's point, not to be given copies to, and the court is trying to be mindful that if it's shown on TV, that's essentially giving a copy to. And so the court is taking Mr. Novak's point in consideration. And so the anticipation is, and I know I'm catching staff a little bit off guard, is placing that television right behind Jeff, our bailiff, to minimize the accidental capture by the camera and allowing it to be displayed. I recognize that that is not the ideal spot for viewing, but I'm also trying to balance the rights and important considerations that defense has made.
Every exhibit should be.
Hey, Georgia! Living Spaces is now open in Buford, the first store in the state off.
Be showed to us except graphic ones. I know the public wants to see that, but
We
that's
didn't
not how it
already
works in
see.
trials. Like every murder trial I've ever covered, they rarely show bullet wounds on the live stream.
For the court's information, we anticipate presenting 4 witnesses. They're all law enforcement witnesses.
Well, let's do this. I want our preliminary hearing to move smoothly and with the least amount of delays as possible. So let's take a brief break to allow the placement of that monitor, a brief test to make sure it's working, and then we can be seamless in moving forward.
Y'all didn't figure this out beforehand, the monitor situation and exhibit situation?
The monitors are, and that's why I wanted to give that instruction early on for each party to monitor their monitor, because if the camera is doing a wide sweep picture of the courtroom, I can't prevent the accidental capture. Obviously, the decorum order anticipates not focusing in to the point that it's focused on your monitors, but I ask all the parties to be mindful, especially as it relates to the sensitive material that may be published or may not. But please just take a look at that.
It is a little sus how careful they're being, dude. I don't think I've ever watched a trial in Utah, so maybe that's just how careful they usually are.
And if you could
Y'all gonna show him lay it out on the table? The corner table? Because I'm like, everything else we've already seen. Everything else we've pretty much already seen. So I'm like, if you're going to be trying to show him lay it out on the table where we can see these wounds, a little too late for all of this extra shit y'all trying to
keep in
do.
mind as you're presenting your evidence, this is not intended to chill what you present, but keep in mind that the standard is probable cause, and that is what the court as a magistrate will be looking to.
Yeah, so that's all he's trying to find is probable cause.
I did the Utah Post Academy, which is about 600 hours of training for basic things to become a police officer, report writing, arrest control, stuff to that effect.
When you say Post Academy, is Post an acronym?
It is.
What does that stand for?
Police Officer Standard Training. There at Utah Valley University, we'd patrol the campus, we'd walk around, we'd patrol, we would do investigations if there was crimes to that effect. We'd make sure that students or staff, if they needed something, we'd be there for them. So basically, kind of like a school resource officer, community-oriented policing. Utah County Sheriff's Office for 13 years. Before that, I worked with the Springville City Police Department for 6 years, and also with the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office for a year.
While you were at Utah Valley University, did you have access to the video surveillance system on campus?
Yes, I did.
How familiar did you become with the buildings on campus
Very familiar.
and the walkways?
Very familiar.
Are you familiar with the courtyard or the outdoor amphitheater on campus?
I am.
And generally speaking, where is that located on campus?
It's more of the central, it's an outdoor area centered by a bunch of buildings around it. So it's in the center of the campus pretty much.
The courtyard that they completely destroyed, or at least the area where Charlie was shot.
Right.
I don't agree with that at all. That was so dumb. I know there's a lot of theories with this case. I'm not trying to say anything to trigger anyone, but doing something like that makes people think even more about the situation.
You got some cement on top with some bushes and flowers. You've got places where people can sit and eat. They come out and study and relax on the grass. And there's a waterfall with a little pond that comes down into a stream.
I mean, within a week, they were doing construction there.
You can also, if you're parking there, you can walk out right there at that exit only where I was talking about on that southeast side. You can walk out there, or on the north end of that garage, there's some stairs that go up all the levels, and it goes down to the bottom level and across the street through a tunnel to the LDS Institute building. And then when you pop up on level 2, you can walk over to the Institute building.
Can you describe how long of a walk it would take from that parking structure to get to the courtyard on campus, approximately?
A couple of minutes, because when you go to that far southeast exit, you can walk.
Remember, they have footage of Tyler, or they're going to say it's
Allegedly.
Tyler, going up the staircase. Remember that footage? I'll put it on the screen right now. This footage, the screenshots that apparently, I'm pretty sure his parents saw and recognized their son. Now, this picture circulated a lot online, and as you can see, the shirt is completely fucked, the design on the shirt, because this is an AI picture. It's altered, it was enhanced. So that's not the actual shooter. Like, I've seen people say, wow, this doesn't even look like Tyler. Like, it's because it's AI, bro. Someone put the picture on the right into ChatGPT and said, enhance this picture. And this is what ChatGPT spit out on the left. That's been a common misconception about this footage.
Is this photograph a fair and accurate depiction of this area of UVU campus on September 10th, 2025?
Yes.
Your Honor, we would object to inability to authenticate. There's not been a foundation laid that this officer took this photo, can verify when it was taken, or by whom it was taken, so we would object.
All right, so I guess there's another Tyler lawyer right here.
Well, as it relates to this, I'll hear argument.
Okay. Judge, first of all, it's very clear, well-established law, that the person who took the photograph is not required to be present to lay the foundation for it. What's required for foundation is that the witness has knowledge of what's depicted in the photograph, can testify to its accuracy.
Oh, we're getting a shot of Tyler right here. I just realized he's balding up top.
Don't do that. Look, I'm like, don't do that. It's tough in there. I think we can all agree. It is tough. And so, it happens. Don't do that.
Tough too.
Was an accurate depiction of us on September 10th, 2025.
Thank you. Any further argument, Ms. Nesser?
I mean, this is a waste of time. Why are you objecting to a picture of the campus, bro? Come on, let's get this going. Holy shit!
And
We did file a standing objection at the very beginning of the hearing. I would just refer to our standing objection as well. I know this is not there's no written testimony in this, but just out of an abundance of caution, I want to also refer to our standing objection.
thank you, Ms. Nesser. All right, having considered the arguments, I find I'm going to overrule the objection and admit Exhibit 1.
The other red brick pathway area, that is the Woodbury Business Building.
Okay. And if I were to walk north, so left on this photograph,
I would love for us to be able to see the photograph of the campus. Why are we not showing that to the live stream? Like, it's so pointless.
did you receive a specific assignment shortly after coming on to duty?
Yes, I did.
And what was that assignment?
That was to secure the top of the hall flags on the south end. So we had people that were gathering on top of that were looking down on top of the tent. So we wanted to secure that area. So I was put up on top of the hall flags on the south end.
Your Honor, if we could maybe not have it on the lectern screen, we're getting reports that the documents shown on the lectern screen are being live streamed. So maybe if we could just not show that one until it's admitted.
Mr. Greenadder?
I'll submit it to the court, Judge. I've got copies of these for myself.
Why are they hiding some of this
I
shit,
don't
bro?
know. I'm so
I've never
irritated
seen
now.
this in a trial.
Right.
A murder trial. I've been watching trials for 4 years.
Well, I'll go ahead and grant the request by Ms. Nestor. We'll go ahead and there should be a power button to turn it off.
This is a hearing, but you know what I'm saying.
See what I mean?
If they do this in the trial, that'll be crazy. I think they're worried about a jury, but bro, since they won't show it, here's pretty much what he
Thank
just
you.
pointed out, all these centers and shit. So obviously
the
cited the
Lucy
shooting,
Center.
Fugal Building, I think, Woodbury Building, Lucy Center, Sorensen Center, and obviously they say Tyler was on top of the Lucy Center, I
Lucy.
think, if I'm pronouncing all those right.
Lucy.
Your Honor, the state offers state's exhibit number 2.
Your Honor, we renew our standing objection. We also
Hello, Melissa.
argue that a foundation hasn't been laid in terms of the time this was taken or who took it, and at what point in time this was created and how. So I don't think he has any personal knowledge of that, and we'd object.
I will go ahead and overrule the objection by defense, noting that the witness has laid, he has expressed that this is a fair and accurate representation of what it purports to be, and he's familiar with it. He was there on the day.
They're going to object to every single exhibit. This is
course.
going to be excruciating to watch.
So you got the white roof that's going to be in the middle, just to the top of the building where the Volsi is. I described there's a white roof there. That's the Sorensen building. And it's just below that. You can see some grass. And that's where the courtyard is. It's just to the left of that white roof.
Well, we can see it slightly on some of these monitors, so they're going to end up complaining about this again.
Just to the south of the Volsi building, there's a red pathway right directly in the middle of the picture. Off to the south of that, on the left side of the picture, is an outdoor stairway.
Is that open to the public?
It is.
And how would someone access the roof from that stairway?
If they came up, they would put them right here on this pathway that goes between the Losi Center and down towards the computer science building. There's a red pathway. There's actually a little handrail, like a little guardrail, probably about a couple feet high, that somebody could jump over.
Is that area restricted? Is it off limits?
Yes, it is. There's kind of like a natural barrier with a guardrail, and from there on, there's no path. It's It's gravel roof, so it's not paved like everything else.
But someone could hop over that railway.
Yes. Bugle building is going to be to the right of the picture. It's going to be a white roof building off to the right, directly south of the courtyard.
And the Woodbury Business Building? Where's that at?
Woodbury is going to be another red path that's going to be just to the east of the Fugle building. It's got a gray roof and some red path. That's
The Sorensen Center?
Sorensen Center is going to be on the left of the picture. It's going to have a white roof, different levels, and that would be the Sorensen Center.
Okay. The Losi Center, where's that located in relationship with the Sorensen Center that you've described?
Of the Sorensen Center, it's going to be just directly east of the Sorensen Center, towards the top of the picture. You can see the two different colors of gray of the gravel that's on the roof.
Okay. And can you see the courtyard in this photograph?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Is this picture a fair and accurate depiction of this area of Utah Valley University's campus on September 10th, 2025?
Yes.
Your Honor, we renew the standing objection. We also object again that this individual can't identify when the picture was made or how it was made or by whom.
The court finds that the witness is familiar with the scene and testified that it is a fair and accurate representation of what State's Exhibit 3 purports to be.
The Hall of Flags is going to be down here on the bottom of the picture. It's going to have a red brick pathway with some flowers along the top of it.
You mentioned that you were securing an area of that?
Yes.
That hall, that walkway. Where were you stationed?
I was down here by the end of the flower pots, which is down here on the south side towards the Fugle building on the far right of the picture.
Okay.
The Hall of Flags he keeps talking about is this little hall here. And it's this hall on camera, the black windows right above like the courtyard area. I guess I'm going to have to show all these exhibits because they won't.
The Sorensen Center, where is that located on the photograph?
Sorensen Center is going to be middle to far left of the picture. It's going to have a white roof on top of it, multi-level.
Okay. And the Losi Center, where is that located?
Losi Center is going to be towards the top of the picture.
So where would you have to be standing or perhaps lying down on the Losi Center to see into the courtyard where that tent was?
On the far south side of the Losi building, you could have a line of sight towards the courtyard.
So they're trying to really pinpoint that you would have to be on the far south side of the Losi building right there to get a sight of that area where Charlie was sitting. This just looks like a Google Earth view of everything, I think.
Your Honor, renew the standing objection and object on the grounds that there's no indication on this photograph of when it was taken in terms of relation to the actual incident at issue here.
Given the testimony of the witness who's testified he's familiar with this location, he went in detail describing the various neighborhoods.
I'm going to start skipping all these objections over just basic pictures, honestly. That's going to get fucking annoying.
It is.
Do you know who the guest speaker was?
I do.
And who was that?
It was Charlie Kirk.
Did you see Mr. Kirk that day?
I did.
When did you first see him?
When he arrived on campus, just behind the west side of the Hall of Flags, I saw him pull up.
And can someone access the courtyard through that area?
Yes, they can.
How so?
Where he pulled up underneath the Hall of Flags is a opening where you can drive a car underneath. So there's access right there. You can walk or drive underneath the Hall of Flags.
And you saw him arrive?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe what you were seeing? What did you observe?
On that day, I observed Charlie going back, doing some meet and greet with some people, getting some photos taken. He then came underneath the Hall of Flags, and he was there answering questions and talking to individuals that would ask him questions. I heard an individual talking to Charlie, and I happened to kind of glance over the edge of the railing about that time. I could see the right side of Charlie's shoulder, so not his whole body, because he was underneath the tent, so I could only see probably the right side of his body. He was answering a question, kid asking him a question, and then I heard a shot fired.
Do you know what time that was?
Notice how every celebrity, and I mean every single one, is all,
I don't like this.
and they never
already.
have logos. It took me forever to find
Y'all
a
acting
T.
like this is the trial.
Yes,
What time was that?
12:23.
Camera's panning up to
Right,
the
the
ceiling, I
ceiling,
think, because people are
randomly.
walking by it.
Oh.
So I saw him go to the left because I could no longer see the right side of his body. So he went further underneath the tent to the north side of the tent, so left.
Okay. Can you describe the reaction of others that were there?
Yeah, so then everybody started getting up and starting to run, and more of a chaos kind of situation. When I was up there looking down, I'd say there were several thousand people because you had it on the grass that was jam-packed, in the amphitheater sitting on the grass. You had people standing on the back up along the cement. You had people that were on the second level of the Sorensen and over by the Woodbury building. There's another level there where a lot of people were standing and watching.
You mentioned you heard something. What did you hear again?
I heard a gunshot.
Okay. And can you describe you described Mr. Kirk's reaction? Was that simultaneous to hearing the gunshot?
Yes, it was.
When he fell to the left?
Yes.
Did you see the reaction from the
Did
crowd?
he just
Yes.
say?
What was that?
Wait a minute. This is gonna irritate me. This is gonna irritate me. Can you describe Mr. Kirk's reaction? What? Did you just ask him to describe Charlie Kirk's reaction? Just
Kind of got up. They all said, a lot of people were screaming, standing up, and starting to run in all different directions away from the center of the tent. At that moment, I recognized it as gunfire. I left my post, which was right there on the south end of the hall flags. I proceeded to between right where the fugal and the hall flags meet. There's some outside stairs that I was trying to run down. As I was trying to get down to the bottom of the stairs, people were running up, people were laying down on the steps. I'm trying to jump over people to get to the bottom of the stairs so I can help stop an individual that's probably shooting. By the time I got to the bottom of the stairs, I was informed on the radio that we had a shooter in custody. So I thought at that moment, I was like, oh, that was kind of fast. Obviously, it was close range probably because we had an individual in custody. Another officer came on, so we had an individual in custody.
Oh, the old white dude.
Since the threat is gone, now I can assess for anybody that's injured and start looking for any medical needs that's needed at that moment. I thought he'd maybe been shot. Talked to the dad as I was running over there. He said that he was just having a seizure, that he was fine, he was not injured. So then at that moment, I observed that there was no other injuries that I could see at that moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so after we got some people kind of cleared away a little bit, I thought I needed to start preserving the scene because we had a crime scene. And with some of my experience and training to that effect I decided now we need to contain the scene and help preserve as much evidence as we can. So I started pushing people off the grass, out of the courtyard area, because where the crime scene was.
What is that?
So as we started pushing those guys out, my Chief Long, that was right next to me, I looked down and saw an empty pistol holder that was sitting just on top of the grass. And at that moment, things had died down just a split second. I realized that the shot I heard was more of a rifle shot and not a pistol shot. Just from being around firearms through all my trainings, the difference is, handgun is more of a short bang pop sound. With a rifle, you have more of a longer, violent bang or crackle sound. It's more of a violent kind of sound. It's longer. So at that moment, when I saw the holster, the empty holster, I turned to my chief and I said, "That was a rifle shot." He said, "I agree." And I looked up at that moment, right in the line of sight. I could see the Losi building had a direct line of sight. So I proceeded to go look at that and see what was going on up there. So from the courtyard, you go into the Sorensen Center, and like I said earlier, there was on level 1, there's some elevators or there's stairs. I ran up 4 flights of stairs, got to the 4th level of the Losi building, and proceeded to the south of the Losi building. There's some stairs, which is at breezeway between the computer science building and the Losi building. There's some stairs that go up to the top of that. And so I went to the top of that.
Is that the stairway that you previously described?
Yes, on the outside of the Losi building.
Okay.
When I got on top, I hopped over the guardrail. I noticed that there was an object which was sitting right about 10 or 15 feet
It's a screwdriver, right?
in from the other side of the guardrail in the gravel. That looked out of place to me.
And in relationship to where you hopped over the guardrail, what direction was that object?
To the west of the guardrail.
Okay. And did you recognize the object?
I did.
And what was it?
It was a red and black screwdriver.
Okay. Did you touch that object?
I did not.
Okay.
They found his DNA on that screwdriver, apparently, and also on the rifle
Exhibit.
after it was found in the woods or whatever.
So if you can describe where you saw that screwdriver, point to that.
Yeah, so this is the Losi building right here, the light gray. Here's the guardrail in the center of the picture with the red brick. Just over that, about 10, 15 feet in, about right there.
About right.
Give me a second. I need to go to Barron. I need to go to Barron. Oh, hell no. Did Biden make it to Vlad yet? There's too much going on. Oh, Charlie Kirk's parents came. Oh, I bet they want him next to Erica. Where the fuck is Barron? Oh, there you go. Look, with that damn gavel.
These 100%.
All right, let me go to the gate. Let me go to Barron real quick and let me see what happened. Look.
Welcome in.
Look.
Guys, we've had a never-ending crash out today
Uh-oh.
from Andrew Colvett. Yes, a never-ending crash out. I don't know if you got to see it. I don't know if his job's in jeopardy, if his liberty's in jeopardy. I have no idea what's going on with this guy. I have rarely, if ever, seen a PR professional crash out like Mr. Colvett has done over the last, I don't know, 18 hours or so. It's been bad. It's been really, really bad. You know, hardcore drinkers do this when they get a little out of control. They get manic. Drug users sometimes do this. I'm not accusing him of either. He might just be undisciplined, but we will examine that as the time arises to do so. But welcome in. We're going to have a big show today. Like many of you, I spent a good chunk of the day reviewing the preliminary hearing from Utah.
Have time.
I had one goal in mind.
What?
I wanted to scale the mountain. I was promised a mountain of evidence. I was told there would be mountains of evidence. There's a mountain of evidence. I didn't see the mountain. If I'm being honest, I saw no mountain. I saw grainy footage. I saw hearsay. I didn't say it, but he said, I saw a lot of trust me, bro.
Ooh.
I saw no mountains. I don't know when the mountains are coming. Maybe they're small mountains. Maybe we're quite literally making mountains out of mole hills. But I'll be honest. Not only did the government not show anything that would even approach reasonable doubt at a regular trial, I think if the judge had to rule based on today alone, how could you even
Proceed with the trial.
how could you even find that it continues on to a trial? I mean, that was ludicrous. And we will go through some of it. We'll go through some of it,
Exactly.
including cameras not working.
Ooh.
Well, tell me, stop me if you've heard this one before. Next thing you're going to tell me is that Jeffrey Einstein's camera stopped working in the Manhattan Correctional Center facility right as he took his own life. Next thing you're going to tell me is the
What is
camera above Tyler Robinson while he was eating a steak at the Penguin Steakhouse, that stopped working. Oh, yeah, both of those things are true as well. And the cop's body cam stopped working. Guys, there's a bunch we've got to go through. I do want to set the stage. It is day one, and I've kind of shied away from trial coverage or I don't want to say trial coverage because pretty much a lot of what we've done the last 10 months has been preparation for the trial. But I've shied away from kind of a blow by blow of daily court hearings. And I'm going to violate that a little bit today because I thought there were several interesting things that needed to be covered.
Great.
So we will start at the beginning.
Well,
And we'll work our way through. I have a good opening that I did not. I kind of been holding it in the tank. I wasn't sure when I wanted to do this opening, but today was the day.
Go ahead.
Today was the day. We had the Corvette crash out. That necessitated the opening, but we also had Stacey Sheridan and her two girls show up. Well, that was kind of harsh, perhaps, but Stacey Sheridan showed up for the trial. She all of her showed up for the trial. And very little of it was covered. And so she sort of had handler vibes. Andrew Colvette all day has basically admitted to having handler vibes. And so it was the perfect day to talk about handlers, particularly handlers when it comes to assets that don't know they're being handled. This is something specific to the spycraft arena, but it is not rare. It happens quite a bit, and today seems like a perfect day to talk about it because in the terms of spycraft, a handler is someone who directs an operation, and they do it on behalf of a principal. Rarely is the handler the organization that wants something done. They usually hire some sort of an in-between. It's typically an intelligence agency, but it can be any kind of an organization. The person being controlled by the handler is called an asset, and it's entirely possible. And in fact, it's quite operationally common for someone to function as a handler while the asset remains completely or largely unaware he's being handled.
Right.
In these scenarios, the agency or the organization still treats the interaction as a managed intelligence operation, but externally, it relies on deception. It relies on intermediaries. And it's accomplished through manipulation, sometimes subtle manipulation. The asset in this situation that we're talking about, where the handler is not known to be a handler from the perspective of the asset, it's sometimes called an unconscious agent or a floater or an unwitting asset. And what we have here is an unwitting asset in this situation that will provide valuable information and perform useful actions.
If you don't understand conflict, you are very easy to manipulate.
It's just an interesting concept.
All while not realizing they're assisting any kind of intelligence service or any other kind of organization. For example, an unwitting asset might believe he's talking to a journalist. He might believe he's talking to an employee or an employer. He might believe he's talking to some sort of a consultant or even a romantic interest. The unwitting asset believes his interactions with the handler are benign, nothing more than participating in some kind of normal professional or personal relationship. But because the handler is working with an unwitting asset, The handler then extracts information, and they do it through a series of elicitation techniques rather than direct questioning. You know, in a typical spy situation, you would just sit the asset down and say, "What'd you learn today?" Well, you can't do that if the asset is an unwitting asset.
Okay, unwitting.
So these subtle conversational methods rely on the exploitation of human psychology. And it can happen through a number of techniques. The handler can flatter the unwitting asset. And that happens, you praise his expertise. You encourage him to share more. You really build him up. You just gas him up. And the asset just loves it. Most people cannot resist flattery. The handler can share exciting or interesting information. And the handler will share a small piece of information, and hopefully that will trigger the unwitting asset to reciprocate in a big way and really divulge a great deal of information. The handler might make provocative or false statements even about a topic, and then the unwitting asset cannot resist the urge to correct the record. That's the best way to get the truth on any kind of social media, is to make an incorrect statement. People will fall all over themselves to correct you, and then you get your answer. But if you just ask for the answer, it goes unheard. No one gives a rip. So you pretend to have this limited knowledge, and it can warm up the unwitting asset to give better explanations, detailed explanations. And then there's everyone's favorite trap. It is so irresistible. It's probably more irresistible than flattery, and that's gossip. A handler can build quite a bit of rapport with an unwitting asset through gossiping about some juicy topics. And these techniques are often deployed, and they're ongoing. They're ongoing. They sometimes last years, sometimes decades. And that way the target never really feels interrogated. Handler relationships can be pretty complex. Sometimes they use cutouts or layers of separation might be employed. And that ensures the handler remains available if the unwitting asset cuts off the relationship or starts to move in different circles. A handler may never meet the asset directly. Instead, the handler may use intermediaries who they themselves may be witting or unwitting assets. Organizations can use these unwitting assets for a lot of reasons. There is, frankly, a lower operational risk, and there's a reduced chance of the asset defecting or being turned if the asset doesn't know he's an asset. It's also clean, very clean. It's cleaner for the handler, it's cleaner for the handler's organization, because it gives them plausible deniability if the operation is exposed or goes south. And there are some people, perhaps most people, who just won't accept the role of being an asset. It's a little deceptive. And so using unwitting assets gives handlers access to all these targets who would never knowingly work with intelligence communities or even some other organization who wants to exploit them or use them. But internally, from the perspective of the organization, there's not a lot of difference whether using a witting or unwitting asset. The handler still validates the asset. The handler still tasks the asset with accomplishing certain objectives. And the handler still reports the intelligence up the chain. The asset's simply unaware of the full context. The asset doesn't know the handler's true affiliation or role. And because we're talking about sensitive operations, detailed examples are pretty sparse, but they're known. They're known. We have clear patterns. We've documented cases, particularly during the Cold War. And there's some examples from modern corporate espionage. But this is the spycraft. This is a trade craft that's taught in the community. During the Cold War, for example, both the West and the Soviets, they extensively used unwitting assets. They sometimes referred to these unwitting assets as useful idiots. These useful idiots were nothing more than individuals going about their ordinary lives, but who either advanced a cause or maybe shared information without realizing they were being manipulated. The KGB ran very sophisticated active measures, and they would plant disinformation, and they would do it in obscure publications. And they were using unwitting journalists or activists, and then they would amplify those messages in the mainstream media. There was a guy named Oleg Kalugin, a former KGB officer, who described operations that exploited genuine social grievances in the United States, things like racial tensions or equal rights for women. They would forge documents or letters. They would inflame divisions. And they would know that unwitting reporters and activists would spread the material. They couldn't help themselves.
50% of people in this country don't live within driving distance of a Whole Foods, and even more of them can't afford the premiums, even if they do.
Nick Green and his co-founders came up with the idea for Thrive Market.
Thrive Market is the online health.
It advanced their cause. Journalists and academics were pretty frequent targets of unwitting conduits. There was a famous commentator named Walter Lippmann. Walter Lippmann had a secretary named Mary Price. Turns out Mary Price was a Soviet agent. Mary Price accessed and copied Lippmann's materials from his files. He had no knowledge of it. And what she gave to her organization was valuable insight. And she just passed it up the chain. Lippmann himself met with individuals that were later identified as Soviet intelligence officers. And he did it under journalistic cover. He remained unaware of their true roles until the operation was exposed. Similar dynamics played out with other influential writers and thinkers, political figures who served as unwitting sources of context, access, or even documents. In influence and disinformation operations, this foreign and domestic cultivation of networks, I don't want to say people who believed they were engaging in legitimate political or culture exchange, but people who were doing it whether they believed it or not, they became unwitting assets. And that unwitting asset was for the purpose of propaganda or even intelligence collection. In more recent decades, economic and technological espionage has seen a significant rise in unwitting assets. You had Chinese intelligence services. They've been linked to operations where scientists, engineers, even executives of big companies were invited to conferences. They were paid for speaking engagements. They collaborated on projects in China. Unwitting assets often shared technical details because they thought they were just participating in normal conversation. And these are just a few of the well-known examples where the operation was exposed and the handlers and unwitting assets were identified. What they do is they illustrate a core truth of this type of spycraft. Effective handling does not require the asset's awareness. Deception, psychological subtlety, real compartmentalization. They allow handlers to extract value. And while they're doing it, they maintain the operation's secrecy and value. The asset may never learn the truth, or they may only discover it years into the operation, even sometimes after the operation is concluded. The consequences of an unwitting asset uncovering the operation can be disastrous. The unwitting asset may begin to evaluate all of his interactions in his entire life. Interactions with the suspected handler or handlers. He may even grow suspicious of nearly everyone around him. It's a profound breach of trust. And profound breaches of trust often come with widespread fallout. And that's because the handler's role is fundamentally about control and collection. And this control and collection comes within a very high-stakes environment, a very secretive environment. So while he was an unwitting agent, the unwitting agent provided safe and plausibly deniable access. But when that safety and plausible deniability evaporates, the handler and the handler's organization must take decisive action. They have to protect the operation at all costs. And in spycraft, we know sometimes assets must be neutralized or liquidated to protect the operation. And that is your opening statement. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. I mentioned it today because I am beyond convinced Charlie was an unwitting asset. Period. End of story. You'll never convince me otherwise, particularly after Andrew Colbett's crash out today, and particularly with the arrivals of different people at the courthouse. It was a very strange set of arrivals.
Okay.
I want to start with, I'll get to Andrew's crash out in a minute. I want to start with just the arrivals. We have some video footage of different people arriving at the courthouse at different times. This is Erica Kirk arriving. You'll notice she comes in a side door or a back door. I predicted this. So several that she would not walk into the front door. And I think that's probably smart. I think that's probably smart to take a high-profile figure who is the basically victim, in this case, as recognized by the state of Utah, and allow her to come in the side door. I have no problem in the world with that. I know a lot of people have been over backward, been out of shape, I think is a better way to explain it. Me, not so much. This one bit me out of shape. This is the arrival of Charlie Kirk's parents. I want you to see how they arrive. I think I got this from Brandy Siciliani. I'm trying to give people credit. I don't know where I got the first one. I want you to watch how they arrive, and I want you to pay particular attention to this tallish, blonde lady with the angry haircut and no top, or at least she has a top on, but only half of a top. I want you to pay attention to her and how she acts. Now, she's sitting there waiting for Charlie's parents. Like, she's been there. She got dropped off already. She could have gone into the courthouse. She was invited, presumably. But she doesn't go in. She waits in the parking lot for Charlie's parents. He really doesn't say anything. But she just stands there in her Erica Kirk 7-year-old haircut. And here come Charlie's parents. Charlie's dad's the bald-headed fella in the charcoal business suit. His mother, obviously, the one she's holding. Now look at Stacey Sheridan reach out to grab the dad, and the dad just blows by her. And notice how Stacey Sheridan is not wearing courtroom attire. She's wearing stripper attire. I don't understand who dressed that woman this morning.
Oh my God. It's a
ladies and gentlemen, I've been in a lot of courtrooms. The girls usually are put away before you go into the courtroom. That's just I'm just accustomed to that.
It's a candy.
And I've seen people wear Philadelphia Eagles jerseys in the courtrooms, but their boobs aren't hanging out. Like they put them away before they go in. They might wear a Philadelphia Eagles jersey, but it covers the cleavage. Not Stacey Sheridan. I don't know what message she's sending and to whom, but that's how she chose to go into the courthouse today. It just shocked me when I saw it. I thought, oh, this is what today's going to be like. I thought this was going to be pretty mundane. No, we got softcore porn. Okay, hold please. We've got more. We have Erica's family, her mother and father, and her. During the testimony, when it got particularly tense at an early juncture, we see them exit the courtroom. I was a little surprised by this because I thought that they were told I thought they told the crowd they couldn't come and go except at breaks. That's pretty standard in a courtroom.
The media was not going to film exhibits.
There goes Erica.
And they're filming the ones that are on that screen.
I don't know who other people are. That girl kind of looks like her, so I'm thinking she's related somehow. I don't know if this is her sister, her niece, I don't know who these people are. I think this blonde girl in the front may be her sister. I went and looked up a picture of her sister today, and it kind of looks like her. This kind of looks like it could be a niece, and I guess that would make this kid a nephew, maybe?
Need to clarify that.
But I don't know. But so they kind of came and went, and the judge was gracious, and he said, you know what, she's going to be treated like the victim. Well, I understand she's able to kind of come and go, but to exit a whole row from a courtroom, it's a little. Distracting in the middle of the courthouse. So I don't know how the judge is going to handle that going forward. We also got word today, ladies and gentlemen, and for reasons I cannot explain, reasons I will never understand.
We've seen a dramatic slowdown in our fundraising. So I'm reaching out to humbly ask you to make a donation to our people-powered movement today. We have two ways to get back on track to our fundraising goal. We either need a lot more individual donations, or we need those who've given before to donate a larger amount than their last contribution. I wish I didn't have to make that ask, but we need the resources to take on the mega donors and their puppet politicians who want to defeat this movement. Please click the link below to contribute today.
Paying over $1,000 for your GLP-1s? You don't have to anymore. TrimRx gets you a prescription GLP-1 for as low as $179 a month, shipped free to your door. No waiting rooms, no insurance drama, no surprise charges, even when your dose goes up. Something that never happens anywhere else. Answer a few questions online, have a quick chat with a medical expert, and if you qualify, your personalized prescription arrives straight from a licensed pharmacy. And if anything comes up, day or night, the medical team is just a text away. Soon, that constant food noise quiets down. Smaller portions start to feel like plenty, and then a sense of control over your body that's been missing for years returns. TrimRx, a prescription weight loss medication with dedicated medical support for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. Take a 2-minute quiz to see if you qualify.
We heard that there was potentially Secret Service in the courthouse because Don Jr. showed up. Donald Trump Jr. is inside the Provo, Utah courtroom for the preliminary hearing in the murder of Charlie Kirk, per our Fox reporter inside. This is Matt Fenn, who is basically like a giant simp for Erica. It's really shameless how he kind of covers this case, but I don't hold that too much against him. Who else showed up? Sergeant Shekels showed up. It's unbelievable. This is why I thought we were going to get a mountain of evidence. I thought we were going to get a mountain because Officer Tater Tots was there. Yes, Officer Tater Tots was there. Let me see if I can blow this up. I don't want to make it too small for you here. That's probably all I'm going to be able to Brandon Tatum looking like he's on Ozempic. Here, we'll watch this one first. There's a very Ozempified Brandon Tatum walking in. And then on this side, we have Agent Poso. Jack Posobiec walking in. So, a little weird if I'm being honest. Like, this isn't a wedding, you know? Had a little red carpet feel to it. I was expecting people to like, Agent Jack. Jack Posobiec, by the way. Someone pointed this out. I can't remember who pointed it out. But I went and fact-checked it, and it's true. Jack Posobiec was a Navy intel officer. That's fine. Everybody's allowed to be a Navy intel officer. But he also went to work for Steve Bannon after he left the Navy intel service. At the time, Steve Bannon was buddying up with Jeffrey Einstein of the Einstein Files and Einstein Island fame. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. That's like 2 degrees of separation. It's pretty close. Very close. I don't think I'm 2 degrees separated from the man, but maybe others are. And so I want to give you a little overview of kind of what I saw today. And then I want to talk to you very briefly about the purpose of these hearings, why they exist in the first place. But I want to give an overview of the judge. Judge Tony Graff has gotten a lot of grief. And a lot of people think he's just a little too buddy-buddy with the prosecution, rules a little too harshly against the criminal defendant. I did not find that today. Hey, granted, it's just day one. I didn't watch all of it, but I thought he was fairly neutral. He may have given a little latitude to the prosecution. He did rule against them when it was particularly egregious one time. I do have one clip I want to play of the judge, though. This was, frankly, a little shocking when I saw it. He was watching the footage of Charlie being taken down. I got the volume off here. He was watching the footage of Charlie being taken down. Let me pull the volume off. Watch his reaction when it happens. And then I'll raise a question, but I want you to watch it first. You'll know when it happens. There. So that was it. And you can see he's clearly disturbed. I mean, those were involuntary movements of his seat, sitting up, sitting back. And then his eyes, he had that 1,000-yard stare afterwards. I want you guys to go back to the first time you saw it, because I don't know that he had seen it before. I want you to go back to the first time you'd seen it. I made a bigger reaction than that. I was sitting in this very chair. I was talking to a friend of mine I've known for 15 plus years, a very active political figure, who called me to let me know about it. And we were on the phone, and I was thinking, it can't be that bad, you know? Because the first image I saw was the very far away image. It was the first kind of video that circulated about the whole thing. And you really couldn't see what happened. You couldn't see any of the gore. You couldn't see the location or anything. You just saw kind of the shirt move and him, like, then push him over. And so it kind of looked like he may have gotten winged, maybe in the shoulder or something, you know, like jerked and then fell over. And I thought, well, we'll see how it goes. And so I start looking around and think, is there a better angle? I shouldn't have. And I've watched it 1,000 times in preparation for different shows and just trying to figure out what happened. But I wish I could wipe it out of my head when this is all over. That's not something people should see. No one should watch someone be taken out like that. And I remember just gasping when it happened. I was on speakerphone, because I don't hear well, I can't hold the phone to my ears, but I was on speakerphone. I was like, and he goes, what? And I said, don't watch it. He goes, I won't. I said, don't. Whatever you do, don't watch this, please. It was that shot we've all seen from right up front. And I can imagine if the judge is seeing this for maybe the first time or a new angle for the first time, having that reaction, that little flinch. Props to him for not doing what I did and gasping like a 9-year-old girl. Because I did. I absolutely did. But it gave me insight into this judge. If that truly was the first time he'd seen it, or he hadn't seen it very often and it truly shocked him to the core, and that wasn't just good acting, it didn't look like good acting. It looked like it was the first time he'd seen it. Props to the judge for not doing what we tell everyone not to do and they immediately go out and do. You swear at a jury and the judge says, all right, you guys are now the jury. Do not look at anything in this case. Don't go on the internet. Don't read the local newspapers. Don't watch the local news. You're only going to hear about this case inside this courtroom. And the first thing they do at break, you can watch them. They're all on their phones looking up Twitter and Facebook and local news coverage and message board. I mean, it's human nature. It's human nature. You want to know as much as possible. There's always this FOMO. There's got to be information they're not letting us have.
These 100% grass-fed beef sticks from Paleo Valley are 30 sticks for just $36 right now. But before you go and buy them, here are 5 reasons I replaced processed snacks with these. Number 1, the ingredients. There's 100% grass-fed beef from American Family Farms and organic spices, which makes these sticks incredibly flavorful while keeping things clean. Number 2, they're naturally fermented, which creates a great flavor, but without the preservatives like encapsulated lactic or citric acid found in all the other meat sticks. Number 3, they're perfect for when you're trying to cut back on processed carb-heavy snacks, but still want something satisfying and delicious. Number 4, they're super convenient. I keep them in my bag, the pantry, my desk drawer, and I send them off to school with my kiddo. They're a great protein-rich snack that won't hinder my health goals. And number 5, they're from Paleo Valley, which means everything is well-sourced, 100% grass-fed, grain-free, gluten-free, soy-free, 0 grams of refined sugar, and absolutely no seed oils. Like I said, they're 30 sticks for $36 right now, so go and check them out.
We hired a big media agency last year to handle all of our meta ads. I spent well over 6 figures on their fee and it didn't work out. And obviously my first instinct was Upwork to find us a freelancer before, because I have been working with Upwork for literally 6 years. If you're not familiar, Upwork is a platform where you can hire freelancers all over the world for a range of different things, from marketing to operations to creative work, all without committing to a full-time hire. There are over 125 categories, 10,000 advanced skill sets. So you're not just hiring a marketer, you're hiring someone who does exactly what you need. And then what I really like is being able to see real work history, reviews, and past results before making your hire. I literally just found a media buyer about 2 months ago. He's been working with us and it has been seamless. And for me, it was a reminder, even 6 years into running this business, that scaling is not always about spending more money or doing something that feels flashy and big. It's just about making the right hires. And you can do that with Upwork.
It doesn't look like the judge did that in this case. And all I can do is take my hat off to him and say, if Judge Graff, if you truly just watched that for the first time, or one of the very few times you've ever seen that, props to you, sir. Genuinely. I mean that. Because it tells me he's taking his job seriously. And I don't know if that's true or not. Now, maybe he was a good actor. Maybe he's a good actor. But for those of us who've seen that over and over and over, we don't have that reaction. We just don't have that reaction. And so that's kind of my thought on the judge. He did an okay job. You know, like I said, gave a little, perhaps too much latitude to the prosecution, but it's the prosecution's day. The bar is very low. We know how he's going to rule anyway. Candace called it a show trial or a show hearing on X. It kind of is. It kind of is. You can indict almost anybody, or whatever. I don't know. Indictment's more of a grand jury term, but you can press charges. You can proceed to trial. You can against anyone. Like, the bar is that low. You just have to, like, honestly, this is how low the bar is today. If they would have just shown up and said, we interviewed somebody who said he did it, and they saw him, and they were like, all right, you're going to trial. You've got an eyewitness. Like, you don't have to have any more than that. Hearsay of someone who you said saw it. That's enough. That's enough. Now, did we even get that today? Well, we'll cover that in a minute, because next I want to talk about the prosecution and defense. There was a lot of discussion for the last 10 months of whether the defense is sandbagging Tyler Robinson. I don't think they are. I thought they did a pretty good job today. They were prepared, but I think the prosecution was prepared. I think they were competent. They knew the rules. They knew their objections. They objected at the appropriate times. They didn't object at times that were inappropriate. The defense's cross-examination of the one witness was particularly good, I thought. I don't know that, I mean, there was one time she asked kind of a follow-up question that in hindsight, I bet even she wishes she hadn't asked, because it sort of let him wiggle out of testimony. Probably would have been cleared up on a redirect anyway. But, you know, you let them make them work. Don't clear it up for them. And there was one time where he asked a question. I was like, ooh, don't ask that. Let them go back and clean it up. But whatever. You know, I'm not going to argue with them over it. They did a good job today. It was not a bad job. Now, let me get into just a minute or two, because I have to. I have to. Because people don't know what a preliminary trial is, a preliminary hearing is. This is not a trial. The standard here is not reasonable doubt. The purpose of this is not to determine whether Tyler Robinson is guilty or innocent. It's not to determine whether he will get the death penalty or life in prison. That's not what was done today. A preliminary hearing is a limited pretrial screening process. All you're trying to do is determine whether probable cause exists. In other words, do you think the prosecution can make a good faith effort and not going to waste the judicial time and not going to unnecessarily keep this guy against his will in jail waiting on this trial? Are they going to be able to produce at least enough evidence for a jury to consider, even if it's not great? That's it. That's all that's happening here. Now, the defense, for their case, can challenge the evidence in these preliminary hearings, but it's not going to the sufficiency of the evidence. It's not going to the weight of the evidence. It's going to the sufficiency. As long as the judge determines the evidence is sufficient to clear that hurdle, nothing the defense said really matters. And I heard this a lot from people saying, it seems like they're conceding a gunshot. Well, who cares? There's no jury here. They don't have to go through every theory. All they have to do is try to knock out the sufficiency of given witnesses. And I think they did a pretty good job today. And I'll go through some of that in just a minute. I don't want to go line by line, but we'll go through some of the highlights. Now, what is the standard we talked about? In a trial, I'm going to come way up here. Almost absolutely certain. Like almost no doubt. Now, reasonable doubt. You can have weird doubt, like, maybe Charlie had a heart attack and it burst his neck open. Okay. I don't have to rule that out. Like as a prosecutor, that's not my job. I don't have to rule out stuff like that. We're just talking about reasonable stuff. Was there another shooter? Was he killed by another means other than a gun? Was Tyler Robinson the guy who did it? Was it someone else? Like those are the only doubts I have to rule out as a prosecutor. That's reasonable doubt. That's trial. Here, I don't even have to deal with all that stuff. I don't have to even rule out all this in between here and here. I just have to kind of get to a middle ground. Just, kind of, is it more likely than not? I mean, that's a pretty safe way to say it. And as long as you can get there, he's going to trial. And I don't want to spoil the surprise by the end of the week, but they're going to trial. I mean, I just cannot imagine a scenario where this judge is not going to let this go to trial. So what about the rules of evidence? Because I was watching several feeds today. I watched probably 8 different feeds of people covering this. And probably half of them did not understand why some evidence was coming in. They kept saying, hey, this is hearsay. It shouldn't be coming in. And at trial, it won't. But at the preliminary stage, it will, at least in Utah. Utah has a weird quirk. It's called 1102, and it's embedded into their constitution.
Put this on. You have to tell me which one, the healthy version from Thrive, and then which one is like the bad version for you. Which one do you like better?
This one.
The Thrive one's better?
Is that Thrive?
That one's Thrive.
It's a lot cheesier.
It is. It has more flavor to it. Okay, next up, we're going to try this.
Those taste like exactly the same.
Next up, we're going to do this.
Dang.
Try this one.
I'm going to go with this being same M&M.
You're wrong.
Damn.
This one, the one that melts in your mouth, was Thrive. It was the Unreal brand. Would you recommend Thrive?
Yeah, I would.
Guess how much a membership for Thrive is a month?
How much?
$5.
What do you get with the membership?
Like access to all of the top brands. You don't have to basically go to the grocery store and decipher what is good versus bad. Because everything on their website is good. And they have filters you can put like, I don't want my kid to have dye, gluten-free, non-GMOs, stuff like that.
IXL is helping 15 million students succeed in math and language arts. On IXL, your child can stay on track or get ahead by practicing with fun, interactive questions. Whether they learn best.
And this 1102 rule that they have says that at the preliminary stage, they don't have to abide by the rules of evidence for evidence that's going to go in front of a jury. They're allowed to use what's called reliable hearsay. The judge is the one who determines whether it's reliable, not the prosecution, not the defense. They can both make arguments, and I think the defense made good arguments today that some of the hearsay wasn't reliable. The judge let it in anyway.
Right.
But regardless, well, there were 2 instances where he didn't. But regardless, I thought they did a pretty good job of at least laying a foundation, a record to review on appeal in the event Tyler loses.
Exactly.
And that's their job, because you kept hearing over and over the defense would make this unconstitutional hearsay objection. And I saw all over X, I saw in different feeds, all the comment sections, everyone saying, what is this unconstitutional hearsay objection? If the judge has already ruled on it, why do they keep raising it? Here's why. We talked about Miranda a few weeks ago. Miranda rights, that you have a right to remain silent. Do you know how many people raised the issue before the Supreme Court finally considered it and ruled in favor of Miranda against Arizona? Thousands, maybe tens of thousands of criminal trials. People went in front of the judge and said, Judge, my guy confessed, but they didn't tell him he had a right to remain silent. And the judge said, there's no requirement to remain silent. Then they said, well, we're raising a constitutional objection. It violates his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, that he's not aware of his right. And the judges would say, there's no one telling us we have to issue this, so we're not going to. Well, eventually, one day, one of those cases, actually 4, made it to the Supreme Court. They combined them. They called it Miranda versus Arizona, but I think it was 3 or 4 different cases that were kind of smushed together, all examining the same issue. If a guy confesses but didn't know he didn't have to, do we have to give him a new trial? And the Supreme Court finally said, yeah, you know what? After 100 years of hearing this and saying, we're finally going to say, yeah. And so what they're doing is they're lobbying an objection in front of the judge to say, Judge, you know this isn't right. This reliable hearsay stuff sucks. We don't know who said this. We can't test it. We can't cross-examine them. We're allowed to attack the sufficiency, but then we can't attack the sufficiency because the person who's in charge of the evidence isn't here. And one day, some appellate court may look at that and say, you know what, you're right. And so you raise the objection even though you know you're going to lose it at the trial court level. I don't think the judge could sustain that objection if he wanted to. I don't think Utah law would allow him. It's in their constitution, it's in their code, and their Supreme Court has said it's okay. The judge, if he ruled in favor of the defense on that issue, the judge would be out of line. He would be making an illegal ruling. It would be an activist judge. We don't like activist judges in this country. Or we don't. Some people do, but I don't. I think judges should follow the law, even when they disagree with it personally. And I think that's what the judge is doing. He's following the law. An appellate court may come later and say, you know what, we agree with Tyler Robinson's counsel. But I don't think the trial court judge has that ability right now. So I don't blame the judge for overruling it, but I also don't blame Tyler Robinson's lawyer for raising it on every witness. They should, in every exhibit. They should. They should. Because one day, a court is going to have to look at this and say, what's going on in Utah? It's not right. It's not right at all. Now, I did speak to somebody today who told me something shocking. And before I get into the evidence, I want to get to this. A lot was made today about camera footage, video footage, pictures, and what we got was a mountain of trash. We got grainy footage. We got stuff you can't see. We saw a car that kind of looked like Tyler Robinson's car pull up on a Ring doorbell camera, and it looked like you were looking at it through the ocean, like it was on the bottom of the sea, and we're at the, I mean, it was horrible. You could kind of make out that maybe somebody stepped out of that car, but you could not tell if it was a skinny guy or a fat guy, a Mexican, a Chinese guy, a black guy, a white guy, a woman, a man. You could tell nothing about who got out of that car. We've all seen the video footage of the guy scampering across the roof. You can't tell anything about that. Not a single person on earth can honestly sit here today and say, I know that's Tyler Robinson. You can't. You can't. But you know who might have had images? You know who might have had footage, camera footage, still footage, moving footage of Tyler Robinson or anyone else or something else that might have happened that day? Every media person in attendance. If I wanted to capture all of the high quality footage from that day, including all of the high quality cameras that were trained on Charlie Kirk at the moment of the Big Bang, maybe somebody pick up something walking through campus. Maybe Tyler Robinson or Lance Twiggs or some other co-conspirator. Maybe rule out that it could have been somebody else in the crowd that did it. Who's the first person you would call? Well, you would want to call somebody with a master list of every media person who was there that day. I know that person's name. Her name's Aubrey Leitch. She used to work for TPUSA until very recently. Aubrey Leitch is the person, the singular person who approved all the press passes that day. You know how many people have reached out to her to determine who was there and who might have evidence that can either exculpate or convict Tyler Robinson? Nobody. Nobody at TPUSA has reached out to her. No one reached out to her while she worked there and said, hey, do you have a list of everybody who was here? We'd like to contact them and make sure they preserve their footage. Maybe give us a copy of it. We're interested in who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. There are a lot of rumors going around out there, and if we had all the footage, maybe we'd be able to assist. Not one person from TPUSA reached out to her. Nobody at the Utah County Sheriff's Office, who was tasked with investigating this crime to determine who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. No one from the Utah County Sheriff's Office reached out to her. No one from the FBI. The FBI has considerable resources when it comes to looking at individual crimes. They could have taken this in. They could have run it through AI programs. They could have at least cataloged it and preserved it somewhere as some sort of central repository of truth. All the high quality camera images that were there that day, all the 1080 video, the 4K video, all the high quality 32, 64 megapixel camera shots. Nobody from the FBI reached out. And shockingly, probably more shockingly than anything, nobody from the prosecution and nobody from the defense reached out to her to ask who was there. Who from the media was there? Instead, we're just grabbing footage that's floating around on the internet and trying to run down who posted it. That's what we're doing. That's how we're solving the Tyler Robinson case. That's how we're solving who killed Charlie Kirk, how, and why. We're counting on interested people to have put it on X. I think it's pretty shocking. And if I'm the defense, I think I'd jump up and down and make a deal out of this at some point during the trial. You guys did not investigate this. You had an opportunity to contact every newsman there. And there were a lot of news people there. A lot of media there. Shocking amount of media, frankly, for an event that size. Too much media. And you had people calling at the last minute to get media passes. But they don't know who they were. Nobody called her. Why? Wouldn't you think somebody would have? I do. I think somebody should have. I think somebody should have if they didn't. All right, let's go through some of these clips, some of the big moments from the day. The first witness was a guy named Chris Bagley. He sucked. He was a disaster. If I'm this guy, I'm getting out of town. I'm changing my name. I'm wearing a wig, shaving my mustache. I'm getting out. This guy sucked. If I'm being honest, if I'm the prosecution, I'm like, is there a way we can try this case without this guy? I'm not sure you can. But he sucked. He was horrible. I do want to run through a little bit of his testimony here because it was a little shocking, frankly. It was a little shocking. All right, let me play this small sliver here.
Did you hear about the new trend called soap nails? All the beauty media are talking about it. Ultra shiny, natural and healthy looking nails, the clean girl manicure is trending. I wanted to try it, but my
irking me.
And we'll talk about it. Did you make it to the rooftop?
I did.
Do you know about what time you got there?
I got there at 12:44.
Okay. What did you do when you got on top? Oh, let me just say that. It was 21 minutes from the time you heard the Big Bang at 12:23 until Officer Bagley waddled over there by 12:44. 21 minutes. We've read the probable cause affidavit. We'd read the charging documents. And this is the first time we've gotten to hear from him live, this Bagley guy. He was the first one to respond. He was positioned at the top of the Hall of Flags. The Hall of Flags is that roof that was above Charlie Kirk and behind him. And he hears the boom, and he scampers down the stairs. He hangs out in the courtyard for a minute. Well, I don't want to give away the whole thing, but he hangs around the courtyard for a minute, finds a gun holster, walks past it, doesn't catalog it, just walks past it, and then he heads over to the Losey Center. Why? Because he, in his expert determination, found that the Losey Center was the obvious place that a gunshot would come. It's noteworthy that he's the only one who would have had eyes on the Losey Center, the only one who could have possibly had eyes on the Losey Center, and video footage suggested he did. Video footage from the moment of the bang suggests that's where he was looking. Yet he didn't see anything, but he knew where to go.
When I got on top, I hopped over the guardrail. I noticed that there was an object which was sitting right about 10 or 15 feet in from the other side of the guardrail in the gravel. That looked out of place to me.
And in relationship to where you hopped over the guardrail, what direction was that object?
To the west of the guardrail.
Okay. And did you recognize the object?
I did.
And what was it?
It was a red and black screwdriver.
Okay. Did you touch that object?
I did not.
Okay. I am going to refer the witness on your screen, Officer Bagley, to State's Exhibit 3.1. Let me know when you see that.
Yes, I see it.
Do you recognize what that is?
I do.
And what is that?
That's a picture of the screwdriver that I saw that day on top of the rooftop of the Losey building.
Okay. And that's how it appeared on the roof that day?
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate portrayal of the screwdriver you observed and found that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state offers State's Exhibit 3.1.
Ms. Nestor?
Your Honor, we renew our standing objection and object on the grounds that there's no foundation laid as to when the photo was taken or by whom. Thank you.
All right, let me pause this for just a second. So that's the finding of the red and black screwdriver. Now, you would think, because this is, after all, 2024 or 2026? No, 2025 is when it happened. 2025. You would think that this would all be documented somehow. He just found a critical piece of evidence, by the way. He found a screwdriver. There's no evidence that Charlie Kirk was shot with a screwdriver. Don't get me wrong. But the screwdriver comes into play because of the absurdly ridiculous story we're told that Tyler Robinson climbed to the roof of the Losey Center with a gun in 2 or more pieces, we're not sure how many pieces, used a screwdriver to fashion it back together, somehow maintained a near-perfect zero, meaning where you're aiming is where the bullet will go, and scurried off the rooftop with all the evidence. Oh, but he forgot the screwdriver. Unlucky him. Unlucky him. Now, you would assume that would be documented. We're familiar with body camera footage. Officer Bagley? Was it documented? It was documented, right, Officer Bagley? You documented it, right?
Hey.
While you were on the roof, did you encounter any spent casings?
As a matter of fact, no, that's why when I saw the prone position where a person would be laying down as a sniper, being around guns and snipers all the time, I was looking for a spent shell casing. I couldn't see
Just
one.
answer the question.
Looking
I
at
don't
the
need
edge,
all
looking
the
all over the
extra
place,
stuff.
making sure the gravel wasn't disturbed, and I couldn't find a shell casing at that moment.
And that would be, the reason you would be looking for that was because some types of guns, when they shoot, eject a casing automatically, right? Some
Yes.
do, some don't.
Yes.
Right. And then you also didn't find any unshot bullets.
No.
Okay. Are you aware of there being a bullet found on another roof in the
No.
vicinity? Were you aware of another bullet being found on the scene, not on the roof of the Losey building?
No.
All right, your body cam footage that I reviewed appears to end while you're still on the roof. Do you know why that is?
I think the battery went dead. It was just right at that moment.
Okay. And do you know, did you ever turn it back on that day or go get it I don't know, you have to do charge it or stick a new battery in it? I don't even know.
Usually dock it, but no, I didn't go back. It was too chaotic.
Body cam footage died. At the critical moment, the body cam footage died. I was on the roof, scouring evidence. I was just about to find the fatal screwdriver. I mean, the critical screwdriver. I was looking for spent casings. That pesky body cam. Oh, it died. It died. Oh, it died. Yeah. What do you mean it died? Well, it just ran out of juice. Well, that's interesting. I'm looking here at some body cam footage. I just wanted to know what kind of famous body cam footage companies are out there. Here's ProVision. This is a common body cam footage. Recording duration and storage limits. Full shift recording strains department resources through increased data storage costs. Battery limitations also affect recording capacity, with most current generation cameras providing 10 to 14 continuous hours of continuous recording time. Wow, 10 to 14 hours. That's amazing. That's amazing. He got there at 11. 12:44. That's only an hour and 44 minutes. Well, that must be an unusual model. Well, no. Here's another common model of body cam that police officers use. The Axon Body 4. Purpose-built to be an incredible camera. This camera has a 13-hour battery life, ensuring the camera is a reliable, full-shift partner even when real-time services like live streaming are used. Oh. So body cam footage is supposed to last 10 to 14 hours, 13 hours? And you got an hour and 44 minutes, and at the critical moment, right when all the marbles are at risk, all of our chips are in the middle, we're down to the felt, the cards are about to be flipped over, the body cam footage dies? That's a little Jeffrey Epstein for me, if we're being honest. It just is. It just is. It's the 3 minutes of missing footage in the middle of the night. It's the cameras were broken on that wing. Sorry, guys, I'm not buying it. I think that's trash. I think that's trash. This is the guy who found the prone position. You want to see what the prone position that he found looks like? You guys may complain and say, well, your screen is only recording at 1080. Guys, this guy was talking about knee prints and footprints and elbow prints and rifle prints. Where are all these prints, sir? The gravel over here looks more disturbed than the gravel that you're saying is the prone position here. And we might believe that you found it in this condition if your body cam footage didn't die. You're the worst witness I've seen in a long time in any trial. I can't believe.
I'll keep this quick. We need a huge number of donations today to flip this U.S. Senate seat in Texas. If everyone watching this right now made a contribution, we'd reach our goal in seconds. But I know not everyone.
I can't believe they led with you. This is a disaster. And we're only like 1/3 of one witness in. Now, let's go back to the radio scanner. Let's go back to the radio scanner here. Let me back it up just a smidge to give you a little more context. Here is the radio scanner from that encounter. Listen for the word screwdriver. You would think if he saw the fatal screwdriver, that would be the first thing he would talk about.
Latest report says there's one on top of the building.
On top of the wall, you're really going to have kind of an imprint, which would be a great angle. Just in 14 on top of the wall.
Do we have suspect information, or are we still looking for someone?
Yeah, everything. Your DPS is requesting us trying to test motorcycle to operate the suspect in that shooting. What was your traffic? Hey, Max, you know there's a camera in that area?
I know they have spotted somebody. I think they're still trying to make contact.
I'll go ahead and spoil the surprise. There was no screwdriver discussed on the dispatch. You would think the guy with the dead body cam footage would have known to immediately signal in that you found evidence. Oh, we got a screwdriver up here. Well, when he was in the preliminary hearing, that's the first thing he mentioned was the screwdriver. Now we can't find it anywhere. Well, did he go up there alone? Did this Officer Bagley, did he go up alone on the Losey Center? No, he didn't go up alone on the Losey Center. He had company. Who accompanied him to the top of the Losey Center? Do share. We're all on the edge of our seats.
And it was on.
Yes.
And it appears to me from reviewing your body camera that there was another individual who was with you that went to the Losey building who was in civilian clothing but appeared to have a gun. Who was that?
I don't know who he was exactly. He would have a badge on, and I need somebody with me to back me up. So I ran up the stairs to make sure I had somebody with me.
So you don't know what agency he's from or where he's from?
No.
And he looked like he had a pistol.
Yes.
Is that right?
Handgun, yes.
Or a handgun.
So.
Okay. So we've got.
Walking to the top of the building with a random person who you don't know, but they got a gun.
Bagley, somehow positioned at the top of the Hall of Flags with a perfect view of the Losi Center, appears on camera to be looking that way at the moment of the fatal shot, intuitively, says he didn't see anything, intuitively says, that sounds like a rifle that came from the Losi Center. Or it sounds like a rifle, and it must have come from the Losi Center. I don't know why he chose the Losi Center. There were all kinds of buildings around. They all made, no. He went straight, made a beeline for the Losi Center. When he gets there, his body cam fails. He shows up on the scene of the crime. He's ready to find the screwdriver. He's ready to find the imprint of a body laying there. But that dadgum body camera footage failed after an hour and 44 minutes. Well, that's too bad. But he wasn't alone. Too bad we can't question the other guy. We don't know who he was. No. Just a guy in civilian clothes with a gun and a badge. Who? Are you telling me there was law enforcement there that we don't have documented? We don't know who that was? Maybe we'll find out who it was. But it's a little weird to me. How do we know this guy's not dropping screwdrivers? How do we know this guy's not making imprints with his foot? We don't. We don't, because his body cam failed, and we don't know who that was. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a little weird. I mean, just right out of the gate, that's a little weird. Is that reasonable doubt? I don't know. It's weird. Definitely weird. If I was going to frame somebody, I might want to get on top of that roof with a guy in civilian clothes and a badge and a gun to drop screwdrivers off. Maybe. I don't know. But that happened. Like, that was testimony in the courtroom today. That was testimony in the courtroom. Now, we know for a fact, they got this from Honest Ash, Real Honest Ash on X. We know for a fact that this guy, Bagley, at least he testified, reviewed some surveillance footage. How confident was he in the surveillance footage that he reviewed? This Officer Bagley, what did he see precisely? It's all going to come down to this. We're told he was on video camera, man. We saw the guy on video camera. He was up there with a gun. Oh, was he?
Do you mention anywhere in this report that you saw a gun?
I did not. I just an object.
So he did not mention in his police report that he saw a gun. After reviewing the surveillance footage that we're promised shows Tyler Robinson, not anyone else, but Tyler Robinson. We're told this shows Tyler Robinson with a gun. This is the guy who reviewed the surveillance footage. He reviews the surveillance footage, he writes up a report, and doesn't mention a gun. Just mentions an object. Well, now we're getting in the mountains of reasonable doubt, right? Because you got to have a gun to shoot somebody. You can't shoot somebody with an object. Some objects will shoot people, but a lot of objects won't. Broomsticks don't shoot people. Poles don't shoot people. Flag sticks don't shoot people. All could be considered objects.
Did you mention that you saw that object? Is that on here?
Nope, that wasn't in there either, actually. So get rid of the object. That wasn't in his initial impression of the video either.
You left that out. Now have you looked at that over and over again?
The video? No, I only seen it twice.
Oh, really? When's the last time you saw it?
It's been months.
Okay. The last time you saw it, were you able to tell what that object was in his hand?
Yes. Well, not tell what it is. I can see there's an object in that left hand, yes.
And
couldn't tell what the object was the last time he saw it. So this is the guy we're relying on. This is the convicting evidence. This is the guy who they used in the charging documents to say that Tyler Robinson scampered off the roof with a gun. This guy. It was his report that didn't mention an object in his hand. And that he's still looking back says, well, I can't tell it's a gun. I can just see it's an object.
Knowing what you know about the case today, do you have an idea about what that object was?
That's the question I wouldn't have asked. I mentioned that earlier that I would not have asked the question. Sometimes you just let the fact finder, in this case the judge, you just sort of let his imagination run wild. If you got a guy on the hook, you don't take him off and throw him back into the ocean, right? You just let the prosecution's going to clean that up. But make them earn their money. They get paid a state paycheck. They're probably making 100, 120, 150 grand a year to sit at that table. Let them earn their paycheck. You don't have to go in and clean it up for them. You said you didn't see an object, but are you sure you didn't see an object? Any idea what it could have been? Oh, come on. Don't ask that question.
It looks like a rifle or something to that effect, a long object.
A rifle or something to that effect, a long object. I can think of a lot of long objects that are not rifles. I got several in here. I got long objects in here. I got tripods for the camera, I'm not suggesting a guy is on the roof with a tripod, but we're talking about killing a man here. We're talking about depriving him of his life, putting him in front of a firing squad or injecting stuff in his veins that'll cause him to suffocate and die. We might want to be a little more sure than, he had a long object.
It's like a rifle?
Like a long object, like skinny long. You can see it's like almost like it's covered over something.
So you saw the cover, which was the towel, right?
Yes, and the shape of it is long.
Okay.
So he saw a long towel. That's what he saw. Some sort of cover, some sort of long something.
So you can see a towel, but you can't see an actual gun.
I don't know if it was a towel or a blanket. I don't know what it was.
But you can't see an actual gun.
No, like an object, like a form object, like a long object.
Okay. Do you
I can't fathom the idea that I'm unintentionally bleaching my vagine, bleaching my bum.
you mention
Somebody asked me the other day in a super chat, could I define circumstantial evidence? I don't even think that's circumstantial evidence. Like, that's just guessing. Like, I saw something. He was holding something.
It was something.
That something is pretty important as we are reviewing the evidence, sir. That's pretty important. It actually, if you go to the original probable cause affidavit, so this is from September 12th. If you go to the original probable cause affidavit, this is very consistent. What he said today in court is very consistent with what was in the original probable cause affidavit. Here it is highlighted in blue. Suspect appeared to be carrying an item whose identity is not clear from the surveillance. So an unidentified object is what is being carried. That is the language from the probable cause affidavit on September 12th. 4 days later, September 16th, we have ourselves new language. We have ourselves new language. I think somebody realized you can't convict somebody for carrying a large object. So they've changed it. Camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof, carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. I'm not even sure you can convict somebody for carrying an item consistent with the shape of a rifle, but at least we're getting somewhere. But you have to admit, the guy you're relying on didn't say that. That's not what he said. That's not at all what he said. In fact, what he said was he could not identify the person on the roof other than not being hefty. I don't remember the exact words he used. I stole this from the Dankster. I don't think he'll care. Danks, you're doing the Lord's work out here compiling evidence for our program. This is how he described the figure he saw on the roof.
you have that, Dave?
Yes.
You mentioned when you went to the police department, you watched the video where you saw an individual up on the roof, right? And that individual was in the vicinity where you saw the disturbance in the gravel.
Yes.
And when you looked at that video, were you able to identify the individual's face?
I know.
Well, that's a problem. Again, we're talking about putting a man to his death. A lot of times you want to make sure you've identified the correct individual. We just got evidence that you actually cannot identify his face. What about other characteristics?
Were you able to identify any markings on their clothing?
I know.
No markings on the clothing. So all of a sudden, the guy in the stairwell becomes largely irrelevant. We have no idea what the guy on the roof was wearing.
Were you able to identify their height?
Have no idea who it is. Could have been a 5'2", I don't know, Chinese guy. Could have been a 6'9" white guy. We don't know.
When we looked at the picture of the, I think you called it the sniper purse, let me use your words, it looked like there was a measuring tape laid out next to it. Were you present when they measured like the distance, like how tall that person would have been?
I was not.
So we don't know how tall he was.
So you don't know what that is?
I don't.
Were you able to tell the person's weight from the video that you saw?
I can tell he wasn't heavy set.
Okay, so he's not a fatty. He's not a fatty. That's all I know. I mean, I don't even think we can say he at this point.
Right.
I think we can't rule out the 50% of the population, roughly maybe 51%, that's female. At this point, we're going with human. I mean, I think we can settle on human. I don't think it's Bigfoot up there. I don't think. But we have no markings on his clothing. We have no face. We don't know what he's carrying. It's an object. It's long object. We don't know how tall he is. We know he's not hefty. He eats salad. That's the only thing we know about this guy. He loves salad. Salad, fruit plates.
I love salad too.
97.3 beef. That's all he eats. Lean, cold cuts. Maybe some fish. Steamed broccoli. That's all we know. That's all we know. The guy doesn't sit around pounding bags of Lay's. He doesn't eat a gallon of ice cream every night. And I don't even know what not heavy set means. I mean, that ain't the skinniest guy I've ever looked at. Would he consider himself heavy set? I think it would have been a perfect opportunity. Oh man, now that I think about it. As soon as he said he wasn't heavy set, let me pull this back up. As soon as he said he wasn't heavy set, I think Catherine Nestor should have gone, what about me? Am I heavy set? Was he smaller than me? Mm. Would you call me heavy set? Mm. What do you mean by heavy set, sir? Heavy set's a relative term. I need to know how you're defining it. I mean, force the guy into the most awkward conversation in the history of mankind. What is one thing no man wants to be asked?
Right.
Do I look fat in this?
Yeah. Do I look vaginal?
You know? I would have been interested to know how you answered it. And that's no shade on Catherine Nestor. I mean, just work with what you got, girl.
Exactly.
Use it to your advantage. He gave you an opening. Walk through it. Walk through it. This is where we are in this case.
Exactly, and it's a mess.
My body cam footage, I just miraculously knew precisely which roof to go to. I was accompanied by a civilian, or in a man in civilian clothes, in a badge that I didn't identify. I have no idea what agency he worked for. Could have bought it on eBay for all we know. Amazon. Could have used a 3D printer and shined that bad boy up with some Krylon gold trim. I have no idea what agency he worked for, but he had a gun and a badge. So I took him to the scene of the crime. And I made sure that my body cam footage died right when me and unknown guy showed up to the scene of the crime. And we're the only two people there. And then I later reviewed some surveillance footage and confirmed that some sort of creature was on that roof. Probably human. Probably human. Not a fat human at that. Not a heavy set human. An Ozempic American. And he was carrying something long. He had something long in his hand. But I don't know what clothes he was wearing. I didn't identify his face. I was not able to get any identifying characteristic. I don't know how tall he was, how old he was, what color he was. I know nothing about the man. I was promised mountains of evidence. I was promised mountains of evidence. I was promised they have him on camera. Well, do they?
Do they?
Do they have him on camera?
Do they?
I mean, after today, do they have him on camera?
Right.
Do they have Tyler Robinson on camera committing a murder?
Exactly.
It's important. We're charging a man. You promised us mountains of evidence.
This is the fashion shoulder bag every Hollywood actress has. It looks like a luxury item, but its genius design is to organize your life and protect your wallet. A hidden anti-theft zipper.
Clear as day.
You promised us mountains of evidence. The next guy that came up, oh gosh, I didn't mean to start jumping in right away. The next guy who came up was a guy named Hull, David Hull. I was hoping they would get to Brian Davis today. They didn't. I think Brian Davis will tell us for sure whether that 6:25 p.m. Mirandizing was on September 11th or September 12th. It's going to be an interesting discussion. I think he has to know the answer because he is alleged to have shown up at 10 or 10:30. The arrest documents say he got there at 10. It'll be interesting. I'm sure the defense will cover it if the prosecution doesn't. But what time did you first hear about it? Where were you? Were you in Salt Lake City? Were you in Provo? Were you in Orem? How long did it take you to get there? So what time did you leave to head there in order to get there at 10 or 10:30? Did you drive at an extraordinarily high rate of speed? Or did you drive normal, 70, 75 miles an hour down the interstate? I think that'll be interesting when that comes up. It'll be very interesting. But the second witness was not Brian Davis, as I'd hoped. The second witness was a guy named David Hull. I found it noteworthy. I don't know why, that the guy had some sort of accent that was un-American. I don't know if I'm not good with accents. I don't know if it was British or Australian. I don't know what it was. But he didn't sound local. And I don't know why that matters. You're allowed to be a cop and not an American or be raised somewhere else. Maybe he is an American. Maybe he's a naturalized citizen. I don't know. And you could probably still do a good job, but, you know, I favor the guy with the Utah accent in this case. But he was there largely, I'll say, to talk about the extra video footage. So he talked about the video footage from Terrell Farnsworth. By way of introduction, Terrell Farnsworth was the guy who runs a company called Visual Impulse, I think is the name of the company. Visual Impulse, I believe, only has one client. They might have more, but I think they only have one client, and that's TPUSA. So Terrell Farnsworth is not a TPUSA employee. He's a contractor. He's a contractor. But his office, at least used to be, located in the building where Charlie Kirk was located, in the studio where they filmed the Charlie Kirk show. I don't think it's there anymore. I think they moved it to one of the other buildings. But regardless, he's on campus, or at the embassy, as they like to call it at TPUSA, at the embassy there on Beverly Road in Phoenix. There was an interesting discussion about how the FBI ended up with possession of the different video. And we have that. We have that discussion captured. I want you to listen carefully to this discussion because I'm going to hearken back to a conversation Candace Owens had with Terrell Farnsworth. But I want you to hear this first.
Other agent with the SBA?
Yes, we were able to collect video. TPUSA had a videographer, Visual Impulse.
In case you thought I was lying about the accent, a videographer. A videographer. I just thought I would just prove that I was right. He does not sound like he's from Utah.
Who was taking coverage of the event, and they provided video to us that they had captured on September 10th of 2025.
And do you know who or how that video was collected from Visual Impulse?
Yeah, Mr. Farnsworth originally provided, I believe, a flash drive to Lieutenant O'Brien with one of the local agencies. And a short time after that, on September 10th, he provided downloadable versions, electronic versions to Agent Mortensen. And an 1102 was collected from him on May 6th of 2026.
So an 1102 was prepared by someone with Visual Impulse?
Yes, Terrell Farnsworth was the individual that prepared it. And in preparation for this, I spoke to him personally regarding that statement.
And do you know what his association is with Visual Impulse?
I believe he's the owner-operator or the director of the company.
And then who collected that 1102 statement from Mr. Farnsworth?
It was Agent Mortensen who collected it.
Okay, and you know that because Agent Mortensen told you, or
he provided it to me, and then, as I mentioned, I subsequently spoke to Terrell Farnsworth personally regarding his statement.
Okay. You got a chance to look at Mr. Farnsworth's 1102 statement?
I have, yes.
Okay. And again, does that statement include an advisory that any statement that he provided would be used at preliminary hearing in lieu of his live testimony?
Yes.
Did it also include a warning that a false statement would potentially be punished by a Class A misdemeanor?
It did, yes.
Okay, so to clarify here, Terrell Farnsworth, we now know what date he turned over the footage. It was on September 10th. We know the manner in which he turned it over. Turned it over two different ways, according to this guy. One way he turned it over was via a flash drive. That's a piece of hardware. I think most of us know what a flash drive is. You plug it into your computer and it has all the files in there and you just access it. That's one way this guy says he turned it over. The second way that he says he turned it over was via Google Drive. So that is how they say he turned it over. Flash drive and Google Drive. But that's not what we were told initially, if you recall. Are in the possession of the FBI. That's what Andrew Colvett told us. But that's not what the officer said at all. The officer said he never got the SD cards, or he didn't mention getting SD cards. Instead, he said he got a flash drive and a downloadable version from Google Drive. That's interesting, the downloadable version from Google Drive, and I can show you that that is what Terrell said. Terrell apparently got over his fear of being hacked by Google, because you remember he told Candace Owens he would not share the drive with her. She just wanted to see, did a shot come out the back? And he said, I'm not going to share that with you. I'm afraid I'll get hacked by Google. Well, that conversation took place shortly before September 19th. As Jillian Faith says here, great to see he got over his fear that Google was going to hack him. Apparently this link no longer works. People have tried it. I think it's diabolical, guys, if I'm being honest. On September 10, I was president at the Turning Point USA Utah Valley University event. Myself and my team were there to provide audio equipment, setup, management, and support, as we had done for Mr. Charlie Kirk for years. I'll tell you right now, that first sentence, those first two sentences, that is evidence Terrell Farnsworth did not draft this. They said it was drafted by him. This was not drafted by him. He would know that's not how you stylize Turning Point USA. He would have either put TPUSA in all caps or Turning Point USA with USA in all caps. He would not have put capital U, lowercase a, S, lowercase a. That's not how he would have stylized that. And I like to believe he wouldn't have started the sentence with myself. That's not proper English.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, $118 for car insurance. That's how much I was paying, okay? I picked up the car a few months ago, and watch this. Ready? $97 premium, $20 were my fees, $118. Now, I covered up my private information, guys. $39, $118.
But maybe I'm giving him too much credit, and nor do I think he would have called him Mr. Charlie Kirk. Our camera setup consisted of 3 angles: an angle directly on Charlie, an angle on the individual asking questions, and a wider angle behind Charlie that showed the audience and crowd reaction. It's that wider angle behind Charlie that Candace Owens was talking about. That day, September 10th, I provided SBI with 4 videos through a Google Drive link. And then he gives the link. These videos labeled whatever, duration 2620, whatever that is, duration 2308, whatever that is, duration 2648, and Hyperdeck, whatever that is, duration 2611, were taken by me and my team at the event on September 10th, 2025. What's interesting about that is that's 4 different videos that he provided. Now, he said he only had 3 angles. If you read, he says he has 3 angles. Now maybe one of these is some sort of like compilation that has all 3 videos on the same screen. I don't know. But he says those 4 files, and they last between 23 and 26 minutes.
Right.
I don't know why that one is shorter, but whatever. Were taken by me and my team at the UVU event on September 10, 2025. These videos, as they were provided to SBI, are a true and correct representation of what took place. That's just foundational language that has to be in there. Regarding the clip labeled as whatever, I've reviewed, and from what I can see, it is a true and correct representation of a portion of the larger files I previously sent to the SBI. So it sounds like the SBI clipped it and sent it back to him for additional authentication. That's what it looks like to me going on in here. I don't know why 4 files instead of 3 when he says they only had 3 cameras. One of them may be some sort of super cut that has all 3 on the same screen. I don't know. And then it sounds like this footage of crowd and behind Charlie that's bait stamped number 15. Sounds like it's a clip of what he provided. But regardless, he says he provided it by Google Drive. He doesn't mention a flash drive. And he sure doesn't mention providing SD cards to them. And I think that's a key fact. I think that's a very key fact. Because what's at question here is whether these are precisely accurate representations of what was on those SD cards. You know, once you take the SD card and you load it into a computer, and then you create a new file, you could, in theory, edit it. And some editing is really slick. It's really slick. You might not catch it, right? You might not, even really sophisticated people just viewing it might not see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would ask, where are the SD cards? And can we look at them? Is there a way to analyze them to see have they been altered? Are they the original footage? I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, it's been 10 months. Right. What could have happened to those SD cards in 10 months? What could have happened to the footage? And why was one of them 3 minutes shorter than the other?
Mm.
And was it the full frame? Did we get the full frame?
Mm.
And did we see everything going on behind the table afterwards? I just got a lot of questions. I've got a whole lot of questions when it comes to this stuff. But that sounds like it's not his handwriting. It sounds like it's not his handwriting. Now, guess who crashed out all day? I'm not sure who is advising TPUSA at this point. I'm not sure at all who is advising TPUSA at this point. And I can see Andrew's embarrassed by his crash outs because he's now posted a bunch of stuff back to back to back in order to push them down. But I just want to go through some of these, some of this crash out over the last day or so. Let's see here. Let me scroll back to late last night, I think is when it all started. Wow. Okay, here we go. So last night we covered on this program that there was an article coming out from a National Contagion Research Institute had provided some data showing that Candace Owens is radicalizing people. And Andrew Colbert today, 11 hours ago, reposted a thread in which somebody is basically bad-mouthing Candace for this. And he goes through, and I don't know, must have screwed it up because he kind of reposted it there. Then he starts really going after her. Let me show you. There we go. So Candace posts, "One more fight, Charlie. I don't fear these demons. We will win." That probably should have gone without a response from TPUSA's chief PR person, but he could not help himself. Candace, you and Charlie were not friends. I love this. This is going to be a center point of this all day. He's fighting with her all day over, Charlie didn't like you. I had these same fights in 5th grade. Billy doesn't like you. He's not your friend. You and Charlie were not friends. He managed you. That's why I did the opening I did today. He's accusing Charlie of being a liar and a hypocrite all day long. He goes into this. He kept things light and polite so you wouldn't turn on the org. Show me any proof of genuine friendship from the last 12 months of his life, from the last 18 months, from the last 24 months, not some 2018 text, something recent. You gave him anxiety. Candace is the you here and Charlie's the him. Candace gave Charlie anxiety whenever you, Candace, called or texted asking, demanding to speak at our events. He made me or Justin deal with you and George. This is why when you tried to hire me in February 2024 for PR, I agreed to go along with it against my better judgment because Charlie asked me to keep you close and protect the org from you. The publicist I tried to hire to run point, prayed about it, and felt the Lord told her a firm no, so I ultimately declined. This is your central foundational lie. You were not his friend. You were not his defender. You were his tormentor. And now you torment his wife and the organization he built. Candace, you are a fraud. And then he goes on to quote Blake Neff here, as Charlie once told us, Candace is very easy to understand once you realize all she cares about is money. Well,
many women over 50 who try Tai Chi give up too soon because nobody showed them how to do it right. And that's exactly...
Candace did not take that lying down. Did not take that lying down at all. And she had a response. She had a response. In fact, many responses. Here is one such response. Charlie had so much anxiety about our friendship that he was the one updating me on the farce of October 7th. Really weird to continually initiate convos with someone you're scared of. And this is Charlie Kirk texting her about the IDF knowing of the plan to kidnap before the event took place, and her writing back unreal. That was January of 2024, certainly within the last, I don't know, what do you say, 24 months? Yeah, it's right outside the last 24 months. And they just went back and forth all day. They just kept going back and forth all day. It was absolutely ludicrous. Andrew reposted somebody who said this: Candace and Charlie were not friends. I've spent the last year getting to know the leadership at TPUSA. Oh, the last year, you say? You must know everything then. I bet you're fun at parties. I spent hours in conversation with Charlie Kirk's closest friends. Oh, well, that's not very comforting, sir. And without fail, every single one of them tells me essentially the same thing. Candace and Charlie weren't really friends. Well, we don't doubt that they'd say that. The question is, were they? And what you're saying here is you have no information relevant to that inquiry. So that's more here. Here's Candace saying, Andrew has recently been seeding the narrative that Charlie distanced himself from here. Here's Andrew in his own words on a text chain with me and Charlie in May of 2024, denying that charge. Charlie had my back 100%. His donors were the ones pressuring him. He always expressed to me that he thought the Daily Wire was behind the sudden push. Here is Andrew Colvett texting Candace, May 3rd, 2024. We're not distancing ourselves from you. This is Andrew Colvett to Candace Owens. We are not distancing ourselves from you. We have a bunch of donors that want us to, but we deal with them one-on-one. And this website is a resource explaining things. Most of them are fine once we sit and talk with them. I wonder if it's Ben personally or Daily Wire pretty dirty. And so Andrew here is tossing the diminutive leader of the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, right under the bus and backing over the little short bus right over him. I'm assuming it's a short bus, midget horse short bus. But he's backing the bus right over. And then Charlie says, Candace, we are with you 100%. Candace, we are with you 100%. Then Andrew chimes in and says, yep, sounds exactly what someone would say to a person they're trying to manage. Sir, you just called Charlie Kirk a liar and a hypocrite. You just took his dead corpse and wiped your hind end with it after an especially steamy and greasy one. That's what you just did, Andrew. Is that the look TPUSA is going for? Scoring pot shots against podcasters? By desecrating the image of your founder? Oh, Charlie was just trying to manage you. He's a liar, you know. These are the two options Andrew has. He's backed himself into a really strange corner. And he didn't have to. He could have just ignored it. Option A is the option he's chosen. Yes, Candace, Charlie lied to your face. He is a liar, after all. Like me, Andrew Colvett, an admitted liar. Charlie also is a liar. And I'm going to desecrate his corpse right here in public on X for all to see. This particular tweet has already been viewed 261,000 times. That's 250,000 people have seen Andrew Colvett call Charlie Kirk a bold-faced liar. Bald-faced liar, whatever you want to call him. That's option A, the option he's chosen. Kick Charlie while he's dead. Option B would be to say, I'm lying now. I, Andrew Colvett, am lying now. You and Charlie were actually friends. I've been mistaken. I wasn't telling the truth. He chose not to do that. He chose instead to run over his dead friend, his alleged friend. I don't think they were friends. If anyone wasn't the friend, I think it's Andrew wasn't the friend. I think Andrew was the handler. That's why I did the opening. I did today. I think Andrew was inserted into TPUSA, and Charlie was an unwitting asset. Andrew was managing him. Andrew was planting things in his head. He had control of his Twitter account. Like, how much better of a handler can you be than to actually be able to put words in the mouth of your unwitting asset? Get on Charlie Kirk 11 Twitter feed and say whatever you want. Like, that's handler gold. Most handlers working with unwitting assets don't have that access. But Andrew did. And he wasn't fine just desecrating Charlie's corpse on that one occasion. He actually went a step further. Here is Candace saying, "I'm glad you finally came to the surface, rat." Your previous employees told me it was you and Erica that were teaming up with the YouTubers to put out that utterly fake narrative that Charlie and I were not friends and he had anxiety. You also worked together to lie about his pull towards Catholicism and put out the deranged narrative that I secretly loved Charlie and hadn't spoken to him since 2019 despite me touring with him through May of 2024. Your lies are easy to debunk. I simply could not have demanded to speak at any TPUSA event because we had a speaker contract that rolled over annually, Andrew. This means I never had to beg or even request to speak at any event because I was contractually obligated to speak at every major TPUSA event every year. It's also utterly ludicrous to suggest he didn't pick up my calls because I never call. Any person who knows me knows I never pick up or call people. But you lie so much. I'm going to accept this easy challenge to prove you're a liar by releasing every single time I dial Charlie's number for the last 3 years. As soon as I'm back on air, that will be released. Man, when she gets back, it's going to be bad on these people. And I know they're anticipating, which is why they're freaking out right now. They're trying to seed and poison the well before she gets back. Because when she gets back, it's going to be bad for them. And they know it. I've promised it, and they know it. Gratefully, telephone logs go back 5 years. I simply prefer to text, and I thank God for that, as I've been able to debunk your lies about Charlie because of that habit. Like I said, your number one problem is you are dumb. Regarding your narrative that we never spoke, I literally just released Charlie and I discussing your partner Johnny Moore's demonic attack against Crisis King, a convo initiated by Charlie. Those messages are dated to May 2025. But hey, let's hear Charlie's own words regarding our friendship, shall we? Here, Charlie captured August 21, 2025, 3 weeks before he died. Well, what did he say? What did he say 3 weeks?
Relationship with Candace Owens. She's a great friend. You know, look, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do? I don't stop being friends with people just because people morally blackmail me. I don't do that. You shouldn't even. Honestly, I traveled the country with Candace. I went to her wedding. I saw her meet her husband. I went to Israel with Candace, which is a fun story I'll tell you at some point. I think the world of Candace. She's a great mother. She certainly has very, very fun opinions at times, and she's a great talent. She says a lot of stuff that sometimes I don't agree with, but that's what makes our relationship and our friendship. Relationship with Candace Owens.
Well, Andrew could have chosen to ignore that, but no, he has to dig Charlie up and set him on fire. Not content with wiping his hindquarters with Charlie's dying dead corpse, he has to dig him up and set him on fire. I was actually with Charlie at the event. We traveled that entire week together. As Charlie says here, he would never allow someone else to morally blackmail him into condemning anyone. I love that about him. All this clip demonstrates is that he was a gentleman who believed a personal relationship with someone put that person off limits. He was very forceful on that point, but you might have also noticed he's scrambling to defend your very fun opinions that he didn't agree with. And now we're going to put words in a dead man's mouth. And when he got off stage, the first thing he asked me as we walked to the car was how I felt he handled the Candace answer. He said he knew you'd eventually see the clip, and one of my opinion on how it came across, I told him he handled it well. And he said the Candace question is only going to continue to get crazier. The crazier your commentary got. We have to be ready for them. He was walking on eggshells, Candace, because he knew he was one clip away from you turning on him in the org. Hope that helps. But it wasn't just Charlie lying by text.
$5. That's how much I'm hoping you'll contribute to our campaign to take back Texas. $5 to defeat the billionaire mega donors and their puppet politicians.
Directly to Candace. He wasn't just lying to one person on the other end of a text thread. He was lying to thousands of people at an event who paid or showed up to see him. He'll lie to them too, Candace. And the world. If you believe Andrew, Charlie was a hypocrite. Charlie was not worth following. Charlie had no spine, no backbone, and he had no honor, no integrity, no nobility. There was nothing good about Charlie's character, according to Andrew Colette, because anyone who lied to you that frequently, that often, and frankly lied to that many people is a lousy individual. It's a terrible human being. I don't believe that about Charlie Kirk. I didn't agree with him on every political issue. I stated that early and often when I started covering this case, that his foreign policy was not my cup of tea, but that over the past 12 to 18 months, he started coming around a little bit to see things more my way when it comes to American interventionism. But what I never thought Charlie was a diabolical being. I never thought he was a liar. I never thought he was a habitual liar. And I never thought he lied with ease. I might have thought he was mistaken, but I thought he was decent, good. Andrew Colbert did not think that. At least not what he's saying now. Rather, Andrew Colbert thought Charlie Kirk was a monster. Someone who would lie at will just to placate people. Because he didn't have the spine, the backbone to handle the fallout. That's a coward. That's what we call a coward. You, sir, are taking the coward's way out here, Andrew. You're taking the coward's way out. What you've done today has done more to demean and degrade Charlie's memory than anything Candace Owens has ever said about Erica Kirk. Erica has lied. It's documented. How many college degrees did she have? How many pageants did she enter? How many people did she date? When did she date them? These are all documented facts that she lied about, at least best I can tell. And I've never been corrected on that record. But what you're doing, Andrew, is not documented. You are putting words into a dead man's mouth to call him a liar. You're interpreting the texts that Candace is putting forward. You're not providing evidence that Charlie felt any of these things. It's a funny thing about what you and TPUSA do. This seems to be a habit. We don't have any documented evidence that Charlie ever wanted Erica to take over. All we got was some clipped up 1 3/4 second divided into 2 brief clips out of context, no idea what he was talking about. And from that, you tell us that, of course, Charlie wanted Erica to take over. Who could doubt it? We released the video. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. We don't know what that video was talking about. Then you tell us, well, we can back it up because he told all of us personally and individually. Well, he never wrote it down. He never put it in a text. He never put it in any of his journals. He never talked about it openly on any stage. And in fact, it went against absolutely everything he said on every single stage he had ever been on when he talked about if a woman can afford it, she should be home with her kids. That's the most important thing a woman can do. Everyone except Erica, you see. Charlie wanted Erica in the office. She wanted her at the founders ball. Where were her kids? She wanted her on speaking tours. Where were the kids? She wanted her putting on her pumps, playing boss babe. That's what he really wanted for Erica. That's what you're telling us. And all we have are the words of Charlie Kirk himself that fly in the face of all of that. It's the exact same thing here, Andrew. All we have are the words of Charlie Kirk and you, who told Candace continually for years that Charlie was, in fact, her friend, cared for her deeply, kept her updated on things, was not stabbing her behind her back, was communicating with her, was confirming their friendship on a regular basis, was even speculating out there. I think it was the Daily Wire who might be doing this. That diabolical, dastardly Ben Shapiro. Perhaps he's the one you should be going after. I'm not sure how I'd feel if I was Ben Shapiro today. But this is the way you've chosen to treat Charlie's memory. Every time something comes up that seems to fly in the face of everything Charlie actually said, you guys...
If you're in your 30s, this one's for you. Salon gels are so damaging and regular nail polish chips after...
You guys have some super secret conversation that took place behind the scenes that went against all of it. And what it means is that Charlie was not an honorable man. He was not an honest man. He was a diabolical, maniacal liar, a habitual, pathological liar. He lied about what he wanted women to do in the workforce. He lied about his relationship with Candace. What else did he lie about, Andrew? Can we just get it all out now? Can we go ahead and completely desecrate his corpse? Can we go ahead and completely roll over it with a steamroller while we're going ahead and doing all the rest of this? What you're doing is gross, and I don't know if you know you're doing it or if you really hated the man, because you were assigned to him as a handler and you had no respect for him whatsoever, because that's what you're acting like. You're acting like you were the one who was making all the calls. And I'm telling you right now, this is horrific. This is horrific. What you're telling all of the TPUSA followers is you've been duped. Charlie Kirk is not who you thought he was. You guys who used to tune in every day for the Charlie Kirk show, he was lying to your face. You were following a liar. All of you who booked hotel rooms and traveled to cities to see Charlie Kirk speak live, waste of time. He was just a 2-bit liar. All you people who read his 16 best-selling books, he didn't mean any of that. He's just a pathological liar, according to Andrew. And I'm not sure you're doing what you think you're doing, sir. I don't know where you learned your PR skills, but go back and get your money back. You've been let down. Someone failed you in life. Someone failed you miserably, and you should be ashamed. But I don't think you have any shame. So I expect this terrible behavior to continue. I can't wait to find out next from Andrew where else Charlie told habitual lies. You can just tune into his X feed and find out, I suppose. I'm sure it's coming. All right. That's my message to Andrew. If you've liked the program, please, by all means, feel free to hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, you think you're a subscriber, go ahead and double check. Some people are being unsubscribed. I made that comment one day. We had like 2,300 subscriptions that particular day because everybody went and checked and they've been unsubscribed. So by all means, go click the subscribe button. While you're there, you might as well click the notification, little drop down arrow that shows up. If you want to join the program, become a member, get access to our members' content, just click the join button, and that join button will take you to the members page. If you want to save $3, don't do it through your YouTube app on your Apple phone. Open a browser. It'll be $3 cheaper. I don't charge that. I make
but we greatly appreciate it for sure. We hate to have to cut Cuff Boys short. I do apologize, honey. It was just, I probably should have sped them up. Because, let me see something real quick. He got his whole, he kind of went through the whole thing. And Barron just pulled a few highlights. As you can see, hold on. He got his whole questioning cross. And then the guy with the huff, whatever, he caught his. So that one was pretty good. I mean, it was just more so of, like, just meat and potatoes, honey. Meat and potatoes. That's all I need right now. I just need the meat and the potatoes. I can't, because I already know that I'm pressed for time, obviously. I'm going to get on up out of here. Coming up on my 2-hour mark here, as we can see. I did learn how to just let it play. If I get distracted or something like that, or if I gotta go and see about this dude in the bag, to just let it play. It was the last time I was live that I had that moment where I was like, you should just let it play instead of keeping it on pause and, just let it play. But I'm going to get on up out of here. Happy Monday, happy Tuesday. You know how this goes. But in the meantime, y'all, in between time,